You're watching Explore Tulsa.
One day, a buddy of mine got together and we watched an episode of Good Eats on the Food Network, and Alton Brown was making a batch of beer, and he literally made it look like it was super easy. So we went out and bought all the stuff to do it, and I made my first beer, which is an Oktoberfest style ale, and it was great, and everybody I gave it to like super loved it, and I really just kind of like loved it from there. You know, I spent a lot of time brewing bad beer, and then I spent a lot of time not brewing beer. And then once I picked it back up and really like dove into it, I ended up here. Actually, the name Nothing's Left comes from a buddy of mine sitting down with me, typing in names as we came up with them into the copyright like search engine, and pretty much every one of them being taken. So we were pretty much like, there's literally nothing left to name our brewery. So we ended up going with, holy crap, like that's it, like Nothing's Left, that's the one. I always wanted to do like weird beers and stuff. Like one time for an event back whenever I very first like started trying to turn it into a business, I promised an event that I would make a sweet tea beer, and in my head it all made sense. Like I had the beer style and all the hops picked out for it, and I was just planning on adding black tea to it and just basically making like a sweet tea beer. And it was horrible. It was probably one of the worst things I've ever made. And yeah, I remember that one being a pretty horrific experiment. So after that, I really kind of reined in like what flavors I used, and I really started paying more attention to the techniques to add things to beer, and started trying to understand the stuff behind it, so that you don't add a bunch of sugar to a beer and then re-ferment it in the keg while it's carbonating. And yeah, so no more sweet tea beer, never again. We're basically a small batch brewery here. We're technically a nano. Our brewing system is 5 barrels, so a lot of the other like bigger breweries, like production breweries, will have like 15 to 30 barrel brew houses. So we're really small as far as volume. Everything we make here on site gets sold from this place. So either through the taps or in package out the door. So really gives us, I think, a lot more freedom to kind of play around with different beers and different styles. And I mean, anytime that I feel like I've got a new idea for a beer, I can go do it. And I think other places really, their volume's too great. It's too much, it's maybe too much work for them to do something special. And so my idea was basically to do everything special. The first idea was to make like a Twizzlers beer, but that was probably 4 years before I went like commercial. A buddy and I just were brewing a beer one day. We knew we wanted to make a strawberry beer, and after using pie filling and just a recipe that we'd written, ended up tasting like Twizzlers. So we were like, holy crap, like if we can get a beer to taste like Twizzlers, then we can make whatever. And it's been refined into what it is today, which is basically just an easy drinking like strawberry flavored beer, wheat beer. To be back there, it may take us 9 hours to make one batch of beer back there. And then obviously 2 weeks of tending to the beer while it's in the fermenter and just checking along. But really like coming down out of the brew house after like 9 hours and seeing people in here drinking beer that literally I made in the back is probably one of the most fulfilling things about this entire like process. It really is. And to see people like actually enjoying things, that's literally why I do it every day, for sure.